Welcome to The Good with Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe's not able to be with us today, but as usual, the women are going to hold down the fort. And I have two lovely women with me today. And Laura, what are we going to be discussing today?
Today we are discussing interracial marriages, mail order brides, and how they integrate their different lifestyles and backgrounds into their new lives together.
Well, let's just hope that turns out to be as interesting as it sounds. And on my right, we have the lovely Veronica. And Veronica here is to tell us about her marriage. She's been married a long time. Veronica is dark-skinned and she's married to a lighter-skinned man. And she's going to tell us how that all works for them. How long have you been married, Veronica?
Actually, I've been married for 34 years, and as Ms. Knoll likes to say, I'm dark-skinned and my husband is light-skinned. I am of African descent and my husband is Caucasian.
And you're a beautiful woman, too.
Thank you.
So how long have you and your husband been together?
We've actually been together for 38 years. We've been married for 34. We dated for 4 years before we got married.
And when you all first came together, was there any problems that you had encountered?
Yes, we did encounter a few problems. You got to realize we got married 34 years ago when black and white marriages was not
That's true.
an acceptable thing.
Yeah, so common today.
Yes, very common. To the point where I was in church, and the church that I belonged to, I couldn't get married in that church.
Oh, really?
Wow,
Yeah.
You mean a church discriminated?
Yes, yes.
That's not very Christian, is it?
No, it was not.
No, I
was
leave that
not.
church.
Well, we did.
Good.
We did, but we did found someone that was willing to bless our relationship. We went through marriage counseling beforehand, which I urge each and every one to go through before you get married, whether you go through outside counseling or through the ministry. I definitely would suggest that you go through the ministry, though.
I agree that no matter who you're marrying or when you're marrying, it's always good to have some counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
And were both set of parents accepting of the difference?
Pretty much so. There was some hesitant a little bit on my husband's side when we decided that we were going to be together and going to get married. At first it was okay as long as we were dating, but then when we decide to make it
Join blood
a holy matrimony, then it became an issue. But we all got together and talked about it and let them know that this was our love.
That's right.
And once everyone was in favor and saw that it wasn't a fantasy that we were going through, then we had a lot of well wishes.
And I've seen pictures. You have two daughters.
Yes, two beautiful daughters.
That is right. I've seen pictures of your daughters, and they are fantastically beautiful.
Thank you, Melissa and Morgan.
I always say when you mix up the blood, the more it mixes, the prettier people get. I mean, have you ever been to New Orleans?
I don't know. I got a dark-skinned sister. You should see her. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Really? I know your babies have beautiful hair.
If you ever go to New Orleans, where they get all kinds of blood mixed up over there, the people are so gorgeous there.
No, I haven't been to New Orleans.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you all have lasted 34 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you've moved from Virginia Beach to Georgia.
Yes, ma'am. We've been here about a year.
What do you think of Georgia?
It's interesting.
Is it?
I tell everybody when I talk to the people back home, we call it the controversy state.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because you got to realize I moved here at the beginning of COVID and at the beginning of election.
Oh, yeah.
So
I forget about COVID all the time.
Yes, at the beginning of COVID and the beginning of election. So, we were always the bigger part of the news,
I understand,
when I would talk to anyone, they would go, we saw you on the news today.
Right, because of Georgia and the election.
Yes.
Well, let's see what can you tell us about mail order brides? That's a different type marriage, folks.
Yeah.
There are mail order brides still going on. We always think of that as like back in the pioneer days when men would go out west and be desperate for women.
Yeah. Like the practice of finding mail order brides is not a new one. It actually dates back to Jamestown in 1614. But thinking about hearing about this, like a lot of people think it's like illegal, because I know people marry for citizenship and whatnot. That's if they find out that's fraud marriage, that's illegal. So I'm thinking that falls into the same category. But mail order brides are totally legal. Like they go through, kind of like dating websites or whatever. Like
there's agencies I believe that take care of this.
Yeah, there's I believe there's approximately 90 agencies offering names, addresses, pictures, and short biographies of around 25,000 women, and the women listed by these services are predominantly Filipino or Russian, but entries may be found from nearly every country of the world. Most of these agencies update their listings quarterly. Some more often, some less, indicating the annual number of women available as mail order brides is in the neighborhood of 100,000.
And this must be very expensive for a man. What's the cost range?
I believe I've seen for anywhere from like 5,000 up to like 30,000, but it could go up to higher. The people and then also they have you have to get the fiance visa or whatever before if you're gonna bring them over here, and that's ranges anywhere from 1,200 to I believe 1,800, but that I think is included in that initial big amount.
I believe you're married to a Brazilian man.
Yeah.
So did he have difficulty adjusting to the difference in culture is Brazil South America or Central America?
I don't know. It's somewhere
I don't know either.
You're Oh no, it's south of us. Down by past Cuba and stuff.
So it'd be South America, but there's a difference in culture range, and I just wondered how his adjustment went.
Well, I know he came here in high school, so I know the lifestyle and everything is way different out there. I mean, that's anywhere you go, like any country, But him coming here, he was in high school, so him learning English and all that stuff, and his parents didn't know English, and him coming here and doing all this, and being at that age of I think he was maybe 16, 15 or 16, that's a hard age to try to adjust to all different.
I've always thought the younger you are, the quicker and easier it is to adjust.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe if you're 2, 3, 4, 5, but if you've lived 16 years in another country or somewhere, even in a different state, and moving to a different state or a different new school, and it's adjusting to that whole new environment. It's kind of because you're kind of set in your ways at a certain. Well, I mean, to me personally, I feel that's how I look at it. I just I moved to Tennessee when I was younger, and I hate it here. Take me back home.
I never went to the same school twice.
Oh, well, see, that's why you have no problem with change.
And so, I think it's good to move around and never get yourself rooted when you're young, because I'm not afraid to go anywhere. I'm not afraid to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Because I was never set.
Well, I don't think so much it's more of the afraid. It's just more of what your normalcy is compared to and especially coming from a different country. Me personally, I've never even left the country. So I actually did a essay in one of my classes earlier this year and it was on wives or whatever, the marriages and everything, and multiple wives, how they have multiple wives in third world countries. In India, men will have up to 5 wives just to go and carry water and cook and do things they'll walk up to 5-8 miles a day just to carry water back home. And they'll have certain wives just for that, and he'll have his main wife that he's in love with, but he'll marry more wives to have just for extra hand and help. And I couldn't even imagine having living in a world like that, because everything's been handed to us. So going moving from a different country to here in the United States, where there's a lot more possibilities and things.
I'd like to have 5 husbands. I'd like the income of 5 husbands. And I'd have one to do this and one to do that and one to do that. And I'd take turns sleeping with them.
Well,
wouldn't that be fun? And then if you've had one that was better than the other, you could always sleep with him a little more often. But yes,
I don't know. I mean, I know the Mormons and everything or whatever, they can have multiple wives. I don't know.
But
That's-
it's not-
girls can have
that's
multiple
funny that-
husbands.
but
that's
see,
funny
that's not
that-
fair.
That's funny that you should say that because I think that's one of the reasons why my husband and I have been together so long is because of the opposite attract, but not only that, to keep the fun and the fantasy of the 5 husbands.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the,
that would be-
and the 5 partners. You know.
I mean, with the cost of living today, you need 5 husbands. You know?
But if you can get
Well,
a husband,
you can give out 5 wives.
but if you can find a man that can just give you 3 of those things, like, you know,
Yeah,
hey, you're
you're fine.
good, you're good, you're good. You know, I found one, I got like 4 of them, so I'm back.
I'm like a
at it.
different
You got
person
4
every day of the week.
I got
so.
4. Yeah, I got 4 out of the 5.
Yep.
And
Oh.
one.
That's funny.
Well-
Yeah, he's a total gentleman. I mean, total gentleman with respect. I mean, would not harm, you know, or hurt. You know, we don't argue that in a, you know, argumentative way. He's an awesome father, the utmost provider, you know, the ultimate lover, you know. We have so much fun together, you know, and I think that's what, you know, makes the difference. And we have faith. And
Yeah.
as we have grown in our marriage, we actually pray together now. And we have been doing that for a few years lately. But I mean, yeah, I think I got 4 out of 5.
I think that if people would learn to wait for God to put a spouse in their life, then everything would go 500% better. But, you know, nowadays we live in a society that doesn't believe in that. But if
Oh, yeah.
you wait, and anyone out there that's not married, you don't have to be going out looking for a mate, because if you make up your mind to leave it in the hands of God, He will send the perfect person to you.
Pray for it.
Yeah.
You can't just sit around and be like, I need the perfect man to come along, you know?
Well, He will if you ask God.
Well, if you pray for it and ask him, and, you know, you ask him, you shall receive. But
And how
you
long
know-
have you been married?
a little over 2 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I
Are
got
you-
married at a young age.
Are you learning to speak Spanish?
He's Portuguese, he speaks.
Oh,
No, he's trying to teach me some, and it's just like, you know, refrigerator was one, I don't remember how to say it in Portuguese, but, you know, refrigerator is the word, and he said it, and it's like, it sounded like 8 different words. I'm like, huh? What's that mean? He's like, oh, refrigerator, and I'm like, yeah, there's no, I don't even, that's too hard.
So they speak Portuguese in
In
Brazil.
Brazil? Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
But
that.
Portuguese is really similar. I mean,
It's similar to
but
French.
like if you, yeah, not like, you know, I have a friend, like, you know, who speaks Spanish, and she can read like Portuguese fine, and like,
Yeah.
you know, she can understand it fine, but she doesn't, you know, just
Yeah, I think it's similar to French. Why do you think men? I mean, you got to have a fairly good income to start spending $5,000 to $30,000
well-
to order a wife. Now, wait a minute.
I found some things on that.
And there are so many different classes of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder what prompts a man to order an out-of-country wife.
Well, I found some things online when doing some research on these stuff, and again, these are probably like, you know, more of a perceptions or like, you know, of what how people feel on it. So, why do American men want foreign wives? The most personal reports from American men who have married women through these agencies talk about traditional values.
Mm-hmm.
And then, however, other attractions to the mail order bride. For one, these girls tend to be younger by an average of 15 years than the
boy.
man, and slimmer and better looking than most of the American women the man might have access to. So again, I feel like a lot of that might, the sex trafficking thing in the world is real, and I'm not saying that it's all has to do with it, but I'm saying, like, you know, a lot of, I feel like
we should set up an agency for women if we can get them 15 years younger and slimmer and
well, I know that
more amicable.
yeah, it's just, you know, but in other countries too, like, you know, they'll set up marriages like, for the 15-year-old will have like, a husband picked like, and he's like 40
He might be
years
40
old.
years old.
And that's totally
Yeah.
legal. And in other countries,
know.
like, but here, no, you have to be, I think, at
Well,
least
you know,
16 with the consent of your parents.
Another thing too
something
that
like
we
that.
we need to consider is whether you want to acknowledge it or not. There are different classes. Let's say that we have a woman who has a PhD,
Mm-hmm.
and she is attracted to a man who maybe has got a GD or just barely got out of high school, but he hasn't got an extended education. How do you think a marriage between those two would work? Once the lust kind of cools down, because that's got to be what the attraction is. They got to have the hots for each other,
Well,
but that's going to cool down.
yeah, I think the only way for it to work, if you're, given that scenario, would be to move forward and grow with each other and help build each other up. Like her, say the woman, hopefully she, motivates him to do better, to go and continue and go to college and, make something more of his life rather than just.
Well, that's all
stopping there.
idealistic. But
Yeah.
in reality, you're eventually going to have someone with an inferiority complex popping up.
Yeah, she'll probably
Well,
what do
find
you
someone about.
I think that if you're planning on building a relationship and maintaining a relationship with someone, if there is such controversy, then you do have to seek counseling.
Yeah.
There again, the counseling before the marriage.
Exactly. And not only that, what a lot of young people are not aware of is that most jobs offer what is called EAP, Employee Assistance Program. And this allows you to have counseling alone if you're having thoughts about the person that you're marrying.
Mhm.
As if
No, I
you,
didn't know that.
yes, if you can't, I would urge to find a church. The Heavenly Father is the first to answer. But definitely find counseling to know whether or not, that mate is for you.
Yeah.
Because even though my husband and I had dated a long time, once we decided to get married, and we were told that we had to have counseling beforehand, it was very, very good because it helped us to get into the things in life
Yeah, it shows you.
that you weren't prepared for. The responsibility of one another.
Yeah, gives you like different outlooks on things that you weren't
Yes,
before
making
aware
sure
of.
that you know that you are the provider, and together how these things are supposed to work. But as long as you put him at the helm, it'll all work.
And that brings up another differences in couples considering marriage is their religious beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because most people who are Catholic are very adamant about their religion. I don't know how they, and I've heard people say, well, we go to our own church. He goes to his church and I go to my church.
Well, I mean, if the people are like, really religious in their
But
family.
that kind of creates a big problem after you have children.
Yes,
That is
and
true.
it really does. And in our situation, it really did create a problem. And I'm going to be very realistic with you. We would, we went to the black church. He went to my church, excuse me. And we were there for 2.5, almost 3 hours. And his first thought when we got out, never again.
Yeah,
Never again.
yeah.
Okay? So
Because most Protestant churches, it's an hour.
he's Presbyterian.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, what is the
Okay,
different
so
religious
we
background?
go to his church.
And that's about as dry as you can get.
Oh,
It's, way
never,
away
ever,
from
ever
home.
don't even think about it. I can't believe that, I could have stayed home and just read my Bible.
Yeah, see, I've tried to a bunch of different churches.
So at that point, it was like, okay, God, I know that I need you in my life to make this relationship stay and continue and flourish and things of that nature. Because like I said, my children were leaving, and
Now, you had children at this point.
yes, I had children at this point.
So what church did you take them to?
Actually, we went to like the YMCA church, where, and
That's
we,
middle of the road.
yes, middle of the road. But then
Yeah.
as we got older and the relationship got a little indifferent, and I felt like we needed real substantial. In other words, I just introduced my children to the faith, just introduce them to God and let them know that He's there.
Now,
We didn't live it.
I'm confused. You said, okay, so there was a difference. You said the black church. Okay, what denomination was the black church?
Baptist.
Okay, so that was Baptist and he was Episcopal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Presbyterian.
wide range there between Episcopal and Baptist.
Yes.
And how did you compromise?
Well, we just, like I said, went to the YMCA just to put the children in the
So
church.
that like non
Just to make sure that the
non-denominational?
children went to church, and had somewhere that, so we didn't get up and go every Sunday, so when I felt like I really needed Him in our lives, I got up and I went searching, myself. I went to all different kinds of churches, every Sunday morning, until I found one, that, I thought was great. And because of the one that I'd taken him to before, it was a while before I could get him there. But once I got him there, I was able to bring my older children into, a denomination of non-denomination, which was awesome.
Yeah, I go to a non-denominational church.
Mm-hmm.
I always have, and we have black people, we have white people, we have Asians, we have Argentina, we have Europeans. It's a mix.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm sure though, back when you first married, it wasn't all much that way.
Correct.
And in the Bible it does say, for where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them.
Yes.
So like it's church. If you know
Yes.
where more 2 or
The
3.
blessing
Right.
of
It
the
doesn't
marriage.
have to be in a building.
You don't have to be in church.
No.
The people are the church.
At the park.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, you can have church at the park.
Yes. All
Yep.
right.
Alrighty.
Well, I don't know what time it is. No one has told me. But I
5
think it's
o'clock
time
somewhere.
to say goodbye. And where do you find us on what? Tell us.
On Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
NBC?
Oh,
No.
false advertisement.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think that's about it. No,
Let's
there
see.
might be some more. Facebook.
Facebook.
You can Google us
YouTube.
too.
Facebook.
YouTube, Facebook, Spotify.
Anyway, I think we're just about out of town. Not out of town, out of time.
We're just about everywhere.
I would like to be out of town for the weekend,
Yeah.
however. Got anything to say? Say bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Sharing your
I
story.
enjoyed you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I enjoyed it as well.
And of course, we always love our Laura.
Yeah, I just got back from vacation.
Where'd you go?
I went to Florida for my birthday.
Oh, Florida. Okay.
I know, it's not that much, it's all, not that much.
Bye bye. See you
I'm
next
glad
week.
to
See you
know
next
that
week.
you said all of that, because I just told my family Instagram, so it's glad to know that you can look all
We're
the other
basically
places.
everywhere. Just
Ta. Hasta
Ciao.
la vista. Vaya con Dios.